Hello, everyone. I'm Fozzie or Cam, and I'm here as always with my co-host Will. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing great, Cam. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We have a great episode planned for you guys. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. We got the Bruce Springsteen biopic that was announced, starring Jeremy Allen White. And as fans of the podcast will know, we both of us are huge. By the the only two podcast hosts. Just some people seem to be a little bit confused about that. But anyway,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. This one person in particular,
yeah,
but
this,
I'm
well,
not going to say
that's
that.
for
By
another
the way, Cam,
episode.
I just want to quickly say, tell me if you agree with this, but I don't think that person should be allowed back on the podcast until they change their opinion on this. I think until
Yeah,
they have some change, I don't think they should be allowed back on this podcast.
that's a good plan. I mean, I think we should let them know of that too, but we can do that after recording this episode. Alright, but moving on. As you guys know, we're huge fans of Bruce on the podcast. We talk about him a lot. And actually, we're doing a music segment as well today, so that kind of works in with that. So yeah, super excited for that. We're gonna also be discussing the Joker 2 trailer, Folie à Deux. I definitely butchered that. So excited for that. It looks great. And then we'll wrap up the episode with the Tales of the Empire trailer reaction slash review, which is like Tales of the Jedi but Empire. But yeah, let's just kick off this episode with a little announcement, little news from the podcast. Also, before I get into this news, I have other news. The Luflo Franco interview is still on. I got in contact with him again. He is still busy and on tour, so it will be a little longer. Follow him on Instagram. You can get updates on what he's doing, because he posts videos of his concerts there, and, etc., etc. But he kind of tells you where he is, on that, and where he's touring. So yes, he said soon he's going to have some dates when his tour starts to slow down. So excited for him to come on the podcast for an interview. It's been great chatting with him. And the next announcement we have here is that in June, we will have some more in-person content. It's been over a year, Will, since we've had some live me and you in-person content.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah,
I'm
it's
going.
been since July 2022.
Oh my goodness! Wow. So yeah, I'll be going to California to visit Will. So yeah, that'll be an awesome thing we can do. We'll definitely put up podcast episodes and other stuff too. I mean, we have a lot of time to plan, and as we do plan, we'll give you guys more updates. But I just wanted you guys to know that in June there will be some in person podcasts, and maybe Will. It's just crossed my mind now, but uh, OG members of the podcast will remember that before Will got COVID while he was here visiting me, we planned on doing something called Everything Week.
That's
Uh,
right.
that yeah,
COVID did COVID did get in the way. So at least we have something legitimate to blame for that not being
yes,
able to happen.
I know it was unfortunate, but I mean we made it up with for you guys, right? We got we after that we got Forrest Hill and John Kavanaugh on the show,
Yeah.
and that probably wouldn't have happened if you didn't visit in 2022. So.
Yeah.
I think it worked out good for our listeners because they got to be introduced if they didn't already know of Forrest Hill and John Kavanaugh. Who, by the way, I posted a little community post. Jack Kavanaugh performing some of his children's music. Awesome to see that. Good for him. But yeah, moving on from this little channel update. More shorts will be posted soon. Just filmed some before starting the recording here. So yeah, that's about all we have for the the channel news. But moving on from that, we have the Bruce Springsteen movie that will be about the making of Nebraska, the album Nebraska, sort of. And it was just picked up by what 20th Century Fox.
Yep.
Yep, and
Yep.
it's supposed to be starring Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. Now my thoughts on this. I mean, I'm a huge Bruce fan. I think Nebraska's a masterpiece. You can watch our Bruce Springsteen tier list with another guest. I forget his name. It just slips my mind. But
And
anyway,
by the
yeah,
way, just so folks know, this is the same guest that who seems to think that there are three hosts of the
yeah.
podcast. So we won't be saying him by name right now.
No, we don't need to. But yeah, we actually did a tier list video talking about our favorite, and we didn't have any least favorite albums, but our favorite albums and our Bruce Springsteen albums that we just weren't as big on, because there are no Bruce albums I just don't like. I just there are artists I listen to
Right.
who have albums that I don't like. Bruce is not one of them. He has weaker albums, but that doesn't mean they're bad, right? Um, so yeah, Nebraska being one of his better albums and one of his more interesting, more story-driven albums. I'm glad is the kind of thing that's getting turned into a movie. And Jeremy Allen White, I think, is a perfect casting choice. Not only does he kind of look like Bruce, he's also a phenomenal actor. And I plan on watching the show The Bear soon on FX, which I've heard great things about, and I know he's fantastic in that. And I also saw the film Iron Claw with him in it. It's a true story based off wrestlers. It was a fantastic movie, A24, and he was great in that too. So yeah, I think he's going to be perfect as the boss. But Will, what are your thoughts on this upcoming Nebraska Springsteen movie?
Yeah, so I just want to say for people who don't know, you obviously mentioned it's landed over at 20th Century Fox. Production is supposed to begin in the fall, and Bruce will be directly involved in
Oh,
this.
that's
He
great.
will be able to have, any input that he wants. Bruce will be involved in
Yeah.
this process. So that's great to hear. And by the way, let me start by saying this biopic is based off of the book by this author, Warren Zanes. It's called Deliver Me from Nowhere, The Making of Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska. It came out last year. And if you want to learn about the entire creative process of how that album came about, and also how pivotal and impactful that album was on the entire music industry, I highly encourage you to read that book, because it is about as in depth as you can possibly get on the making of that album. So shout out to Warren Zanes for his book Number One, this biopic based off of that book. And with these, but like now, look, there are if there's a biopic about an artist that I am not as familiar with, then I'll happily watch it if it gets good reviews. This is, a little more complicated than that. I know Bruce Springsteen so well, and seeing someone else play Bruce
Yeah.
Springsteen could be a little hard for me. However,
Especially because he's still alive.
for sure. However, I think if it's good, I'm ultimately going to see it, because I think my curiosity will get the best of me, and it'll be a great thing for us to talk about on this podcast. But beyond that, why I'm so encouraged about this is because Bruce is going to be involved in the creative process. His manager John Landau said that he and Bruce love the director that has been chosen for this movie, and they think that no one else is a better person to tell this story. And I
Wow.
read a quote from the director where he was talking about how pivotal the Nebraska album has been, both on his life and different projects he's done in the music industry over the years. So having John Landau and Bruce Springsteen directly involved in the creative process, and to have a director who's been so directly impacted by the Nebraska album, I'm very encouraged by the things I'm hearing about this biopic. And even though it's going to be hard for me to see somebody else play Bruce Springsteen, if this gets good reviews, it's going to be hard for me to not see it.
Yeah, same here. Like I said before, it is weird because Bruce is still alive. I mean, I guess they did that for Elton John and Rocket Man, but that
And
was
Bob
that
Dylan
was
is still alive, and there's a biopic about him coming out too. So I
that's
guess
true.
there's
Yeah,
another example.
yeah, you're right. I mean, but it's. I mean, you have to admit it's not often we get
Right. Oh, sure.
biopics
Oh,
like
of
this
course.
about people who are like Elvis, Bohemian Rhapsody, the Queen biopic. I mean, the Elton John one. I mean, it's different because it was kind of a musical, not exactly like a biopic. Even I mean, it was a kind of mix of both. But it was still different than what's going on here. But still super intrigued and so happy that it looks like Bruce is going to be an executive producer on the project. Definitely happy about that. Good for him. And yeah, I'm super excited for this film. I think, I mean, Bruce is smart. And also, we know he knows his way around film and TV, as he was just recently appeared on
Oh,
Larry
yeah.
David's show, Curb
That's
Your
right.
Enthusiasm. I am not a regular watcher of this show, I'm not a regular viewer. But I've watched a little bit of the first season. I watch it here or there. It's just so that if it's on, I'll watch, or if I want to put it on, I'll watch. You know, um, I watched this whole episode, and I have actually. This is the only episode in the final season I've watched so far. It was fantastic. It was super funny. Bruce was great. Larry David's hilarious. It was an awesome appearance. I'm glad he did it. The only thing that concerned me is, though, well, it was said in the episode, the reason that Bruce was in the episode is that he was touring and he was in the same he was in L.A. Playing, and then he wanted to meet Larry David because Larry lives in L.A. But here's the thing: the tour he was doing was his farewell tour in the show. So I mean, I don't know what if that actually will end up meaning anything in real life, but in the show, Bruce was on his farewell tour. So I mean, we'll see. All
Wait,
right.
yeah, wait. So do you think this is possibly implying that like this may be Bruce's final tour because he appeared on the final season of this show? Is that what you think?
Well, not exactly what I was getting at. I was just saying in the show,
Right.
Bruce said he was on tour, but it was for his farewell tour. That's what he said.
Then that's like a bombshell of a
Yeah,
Bruce comment
and
to me. Then, like
it
that's
could just
like
be like
massive
a
to me.
it could have just
Yeah.
helped enhance the story because part of it is. Would you mind me spoiling it, or do you want me to lay off the spoilers?
Oh yeah, you can totally do that. Totally.
Okay, well, Larry David gives Bruce COVID at the end of at the end of the episode, and so Bruce gets sick and has to cancel the date, and then everyone gets mad at Larry David because he got Bruce sick, and then Bruce gets mad at Larry David. Um, so I think that might have been the reason they used him as a farewell tour, because they just wanted to
Right.
make because that's kind of the whole thing in this season.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of mad at Larry. He's going through some legal issues right now in this season too. So it might have been it because it makes it even sound worse. David gives Bruce Springsteen COVID-19, has to cancel a bunch of shows on his farewell tour. So it could have just been used for comedic effect, but if not, that's kind of jarring, you know?
Yeah. For sure.
But we'll see. And even if this is Bruce's last like big E Street Band tour, he's still gonna perform. Like, I mean, Bob Dylan's still performing. Bob Dylan's what, 80 something. So
Yeah, he's up there in age. Yeah.
yeah, and he's performing too. Granted, it's not E Street Band level performances.
Right.
Um, but at the very least, he'll do another Broadway type thing. Maybe he'll do some Western Star stuff, and he also could just keep going back on tour and doing this whole E Street thing again and again because I mean, maybe if he does do that, it'll be smaller scale, less shows, because obviously he's doing a huge tour now, and he's suffered some, had some medical issues, but we'll
Yeah.
see. You know, I'm sure he'll let us know of this once this tour ends, and once he drops a new album. But yeah, moving on from Bruce Springsteen, we actually got the trailer. Actually, oh my goodness, this is a very music centric episode. So, on here, we're talking about Bruce, the biopic, then Joker 2, then we're just going to talk about music we're listening to. But Joker 2, which we're talking about now, is a musical. So it kind of works in with the theme of this episode. Um, but yeah, Joker, the first Joker film, is so dark, and it's also basically just the king of comedy and Taxi Driver, which is the main criticism a lot of people had for it, is that it wasn't very original in that sense. But based off of this new trailer, uh, Joker 2, Folie à Deux, once again, probably butchered the pronunciation there, uh, looks original to say the least. I mean, 15 well-known songs in the musical, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. That's crazy already, right off the bat. Um, Will, what were your thoughts on the trailer for Joker 2, Folie à Deux? Once again, butchered the pronunciation.
Yeah, so I haven't seen the original movie, so I want to start by asking you, out of 10, what would you give the original film?
I give it a 7.5 to an 8 out of 10. I feel like it's definitely overrated. I'm not saying it's
Mm,
bad.
mm.
It's just it gets overhyped so much, and people say it's like their favorite movie of all time, which I respect, but it just doesn't feel like that for me. It's a great movie. It's just not that great. It's not as great
Right.
as everyone else was saying, you know.
Yeah, I totally hear you on that. So I'm somebody who's watching the trailer from the standpoint of not having seen the original film, but so I want to preface my comments by saying that, but on the topic of the trailer, I was very intrigued the entire time. I can't tell if it's necessarily the type of movie that I will enjoy, but I was
Definitely
intrigued
interesting.
the whole time because I had never I have watched a bunch of movies and a bunch of shows. Cam, I have never seen anything exactly like that.
I
I have
know.
never seen like that. There are certain things that can get formulaic and it's like, oh, I've seen this before. I have never ever seen anything quite like that before. So I don't know whether I'll end up enjoying it, but I have to really applaud it for its originality because I've never seen anything quite like that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the cinematography, director Todd Phillips is back at it. He directed the first movie. Um, and actually, I wanted to mention this: the similarities between Taxi Driver and King of Comedies, which, as you know, are both Martin Scorsese
Right.
films.
Yeah.
He was actually involved in the making of the first Joker movie. I'm not sure if he was exactly a producer. He was a credited producer. He might have went uncredited, but I know he definitely helped out with the project. I heard about that. Um, but he's not on this one. Bradley Cooper, who produced the first one, not involved in this either. Um, it just seems like the Todd Phillips show. I think the first one, he needed to prove that he could make serious movies because before that, he had made comedy movies like the Hangover movies, Project X, all crazy comedy movies, War Dogs, which I guess isn't fully a comedy, but still, he never made a movie quite like the Joker. And I think the first one wanted he needed to prove that he's a serious filmmaker and that he can make darker stories, he can make crazy stories, he can write crazy stories, you know. Um, and now I think it's his show. He has his own vision for this one. It's a musical. It's insane. Action. It's thriller. It's suspense. It's a drama. It's a crime. What even is this? I mean, I'm super excited for it. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't know what exactly to expect. But for a second, I just want to dive back into the trailer and point out some things that I liked. I one thing I really loved, and this is just such a random thing, and it just shows how Arthur Fleck, Joker, sees the world. When we first see him walking in the rain with the guards holding the umbrellas, holding the gray or black umbrellas. If you catch the shot above, it's colored. I don't know. It was such a simple shot, but it just conveyed everything it was trying to convey. It tells us, yeah, he's crazy. I mean, it tells him, yeah, we know what he likes. He likes vibrant colors. He's loud. Well, he's not loud. I mean, he's vibrant. Um, it shows things about his personality. And then I also, oh my goodness, my favorite part of the trailer is when we first see him on the piano. He has a cigarette, and he's just there on the piano, the microphone. He plays the note. We see his makeup, and then the rooftop with him and Lady Gaga, and the sky. It's obviously a set, but it looks so beautiful. And I mean, oh my goodness, I think this will be a perfect blend of real movie and musical. And a lot of people were worried because they think it's all going to be in his head. It's very obviously not all going to take place in his head. I mean, the stuff that takes place in his head is the musical stuff, right? I mean, that just makes sense. And the stuff that we see that's not like that is most likely not in his head. There could be parts of it that are. But yeah, and that's the thing with the first one, Will. I won't give any spoilers away here, but that's an issue. We don't exactly know what's real and what's not, because he does definitely have some mental health issues. But overall, I was stunned by this trailer when it dropped last night. I didn't even know. I got the notification. I was like, oh my god. It was breathtaking. I thought the cinematography was beautiful. Todd Phillips definitely brought his A game to this project, and I can't wait to see future trailers. And yeah, super excited for this movie. But next on the schedule here, continuing with the music theme, is just music. Yeah, I just want to talk to you. We don't do this very often, but when we do this, it's super fun. So just what music we've been listening to. Well, you can go first if you like. Just what music you've been into, artists, albums, you know.
Sure. Yeah. So, well, I would just like to start by saying now I could talk about a lot of different things, but I'll save some for future episodes. But I will say I would like to start off by saying this, Cam. I cannot tell you how much fun I'm having following Bruce Springsteen's set list from
Yes.
concert to concert. I know the songs so well. There's like there was one cover song he did at one show that I didn't know, but everything else I've known like every other song that Bruce has played on this tour. So I just want to say, as someone who knows Springsteen's material so well, it has been so much fun following his set list from concert to concert on this tour because it's very clear to me. This is what's so exciting. Bruce is starting every show with just a rarity of a song.
Yeah.
He opened one show with Roll of the Dice. He opened a show with Something in the Night. He opened my show with Light of Day. He opened a show with a cover song, Boom Boom. The last show he opened with Open All Night. So it's very clear to me that he's doing a different song to open the show every night. Well, he did open two concerts with Lonesome Day, but it's very clear to me that he's tried to do a different opener on at least every single night. So I just want to say, following these Bruce set lists has just been so fun because he's always adding in something new. So that
Yeah.
really has just been so fun. So I want to start by saying that. Secondly, I know we talked about the Grammys on a previous episode. I really have to shout out the 2024 Grammys because they've really gotten me listening to songs from there. Billie Eilish, what was I made for? That
New
performance,
album announcement. New album
I saw
announcement for
that.
Billie
I
Eilish.
saw
Yeah.
that. Yeah, but that performance was the highlight of the Grammys to me, and I've listened to that song a ton since that performance. So shout out to her for creating really just such an emotional listen of a song I've
For
listened to.
Barbie.
Yeah, and I know you were really into Olivia Rodrigo's latest album. She performed
Yes.
Vampire at the Grammys. I enjoyed listening to that song, and then the legendary Billy Joel debut
Yes.
performed his new song "Turn the Lights Back On,"
Great song.
and I agree. I'm so happy that he finally came back and did a new song. And I've heard certain people talk about it as he's talking to his fans when he's asking the question, did I wait too long to turn the lights back on? So if that's true and that's who he's talking to in the song, then shout out to him. I mean, that song really puts on display what a great songwriter he is. And then
Yeah,
I want to
definitely.
end by saying this. So the Avett brothers obviously have a new album coming out this year, and they've had two songs that have come out so far: "Love of a Girl" and "Country Kid."
Oh, love them.
Yeah, tell me what you think, Cam. But I personally, not that they're not good fun songs on their own, but by the Avett Brothers' very high standards, this has not been up to par with other albums for me. I mean, I think they're light, fun songs, but compared to other stuff, like this is not in the elite Avett's category for me, at least.
I I disagree.
Okay.
I've loved these songs because they're essentially doing a genre switch. I mean, it's more of a rock album I've seen so far, and granted, they have obviously incorporated some elements of rock into their albums, but it's more of a bluegrassy. There's some country themes, um, and obviously rock themes. But this it seems more like a rock album than anything else, and I was definitely that by itself earns my respect. Just switching up something that you're so comfortable with and doing something you might not be as comfortable with. I think especially on Love of a Girl, the rock stuff is prominent. I think the chorus on that song is phenomenal. Country Kid I think is phenomenal as well. I've had it on loop these past few days. I really enjoy it. Um, I want to mention the album art too. I actually thought the album art was awesome. But yeah, I love the direction they're going in, getting a little more personal on this album about them and their life specifically. So yeah, I've really enjoyed their new stuff so far. Well, I mean, I can see how you might not love it because it does switch up the genre, and that might not be exactly what you look for when you listen to the Avett Brothers. But for me, I enjoyed it. I not only do I just respect the switch up of genres itself, but I also think it's some good music.
Awesome. And is there any and is there any music that you've been really into lately
Um,
besides that?
yes. Let's see here. So I've also been listening to artists from the Grammys, specifically SZA. I've been getting into her music even more than I was during the Grammys. I think she's phenomenal. I think she has such a good voice. It's ridiculous actually. My favorite song of hers right now is Love Galore off of her 2017 album. I think it's 2017. Control. It's featuring Travis Scott, who also played at the Grammys, who I saw in December. Great show. Um, he's a fantastic artist. Been listening to him as well, and I've also been getting into the band or the group Outcast. Outcast made songs like Hey Yeah. You've definitely heard songs like by them on the radio. I really enjoy their music. Andre 3000 and Big Boy. Um, Andre 3000, being one of the most highly regarded hip hop artists right now. Um, and that's crazy because he hasn't released an album, a rap album, and he's still regarded as one of the best hip hop artists of all time. And I mean, he's done features for other artists. He has Outkast stuff, but then a few months ago, he actually announced that he was. Our viewers might know about this, but he actually announced that he was releasing an album. Then it released, and guess what, Will? It was all flute music. And
Wow.
let me tell you, it was awesome. I mean, it's not something you sit like. Sometimes you get an album and you just sit and listen to the album. That's all you do. You don't do anything else. But this album, like I every time night before I go to sleep, I have an Alexa right here. I have Alexa play that album, and it's just so soothing. It's calm, and the album titles or the song titles on the album are hilarious. Um, like I mean, he knows what we wanted. He knows we wanted to make a hip hop album from him. He knows that, so he decided to. Oh man, he did something that did frustrate me at first, but he made a song called "I Swear." I really wanted to make a rap album, but this is literally the way the wind blew me this time. That was the song title. Um, so yeah, he definitely knows what his audience wanted, and that was a hip hop album, but we did not get it. Someone else I've also been listening to is Beyonce because she actually recently released a new album called Cowboy Carter, and I actually thought it was fantastic. Do you happen to listen to any of the songs off of that, Will?
The person who will not be named on this
Yes.
podcast, he's played a few songs off of that around our house. So yes, I have been able to hear some of it. Yes.
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of it so far. Once again, not really a country fan, but I really like this album. She has a fantastic voice. The song 16 Carriages specifically stood out to me, but there were a bunch of other great songs as well. I've also been listening to, well, I mean, been listening to some Kendrick Lamar after he recently dissed the big three, him, Drake, and J. Cole. He dissed Drake and J. Cole, rightfully so, because Drake, um, as I'm not gonna even try to finish pronouncing that. I don't even know what just happened there. um, as controversial. There we go. As this might be, I am not a Drake fan, and so I'm glad he kind of put Drake in his place. J. Cole, I don't really have anything against him, but I still don't love him, so I don't really care that he dissed him. Finally, I've also been listening to Kid Cudi, who has one of my favorite albums of all time, Man on the Moon 1. I think it's a fantastic album. It's a perfect mix of pop and rock and hip hop. I mean, he's a fantastic artist. I'll actually be seeing him live July 24th at TD Garden. Um, I think he's a fantastic artist. He's actually released some full on rock albums, which haven't been great, but once again, well, like I said with the Avery Brothers, I respect it. I mean, he's going out of his way, he's switching up genres completely, making a whole album with a genre that he doesn't normally operate in. So it's definitely an admirable thing to do, and he's also uh, come out with films recently. He's done some acting as of late too. He has his own animated film on Netflix called Intergalactic, and he also made an album to go along with it. And it's a fantastic film. It's kind of animated like Spider-Verse, but it's a romance drama story. And it's fantastic. He voice acts the main character. He's great in that. He was in the film X. He was recently in the film Silent Night, directed by someone. John, is it John Woo? James Woo? It's something like that.
James Wu.
James Woo.
James Wu, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Directed by him, who's obviously an acclaimed director. He was in that. Um, also, I mean, this might not be appeal to everyone, but he was actually in the most recent Trolls film. Um, so he's part of that animated trilogy now, too. So yeah, he's in the acting game now. Music game too. He also just dropped basically what was a 40-song album. Um, and this album that just came out a few months ago, it's what he's touring for. It's called Insano, and I don't think it's a particularly good album, but I think I'm just happy he released because he was actually planning on stopping to make music. He was gonna quit music and just focus on film full time. He was gonna switch passions, I guess, but no, it looks like he changed his mind because he dropped a 40-song album with old. It wasn't all new material. It was technically split up into two albums. Um, but they're basically the same. It's like an A side and a B side almost. And there are some unreleased songs on it, some old songs. But yeah, super excited to see him live. He's a great artist. Will, do you have anything for the music topic you'd like to add?
I think I'm good for now.
Perfect. Alright, so our final topic of the episode is Tales of the Empire.
Yeah.
So we both love Tales of the Jedi, and one quick thing, this was our, it's not exactly a complaint, but we both agree on this. We just wish the episodes weren't shorts, just because we love these characters so much, and we just want to see these stories a little more fleshed out. But that's really the only complaint I have with this whole thing. Thrawn's back, the Grand Inquisitor's back, Vader, General Grievous? What? I mean, yeah, so excited for this. Even more excited for this than I was for Tales of the Jedi. But Will, what are your thoughts on the Tales of the Empire trailer?
Very well done. Really, really no complaints. I mean, it's really exactly what I want to see. I agree with you that it would be nice if if the episodes were longer and not shorts. Like, I don't see any reason why they couldn't make them all like 30 minutes, like
Yeah.
30-minute, backstory episodes of these characters. Heck, I wouldn't even be opposed to if they made let them all like in hour, like each like
Yeah.
specifically focusing on a different character. But you're not always going to get what you want. So I agree that it would be nice if they were longer, but I thought that trailer was very well done. It was really everything that I could have asked for. Tales of the Jedi I enjoyed. I thought, we were able to learn some new things about characters like Ahsoka in that show. So I liked Tales of the Jedi, and I see no reason why I won't like Tales of the Empire too.
Yeah.
Ron, how they brought in Vader at the end of the trailer, no complaints from me. I'm sure it'll be a very enjoyable Star Wars viewing experience.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking here. And on next episode of the podcast, we actually have the Acolyte to talk about, which we're excited about. Um,
And we haven't even talked about the Oscars yet. I look forward to maybe
oh
doing
yeah,
that,
yeah, we can do that. We can do the whole
next
op-
episode too.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
the Spider-Verse short too.
yes. Wow, we have a lot of stuff next episode. We should have just done that this episode too. We could have made room, but it is what it is. But yeah, that about wraps up this episode of the Everything Podcast. Thank you guys for watching it. As you guys just heard, we have a great episode planned for you next week too. And also keep in mind that in June we will have more in-person content, and I think it's time for everything week. I think that's what's gonna happen. Gotta make 7 videos. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. All videos. Maybe 2 of them will be podcasts. Maybe some of them will be different videos. We'll see. But we can do that because we'll be in person in June. So yeah, we're super excited for that. LaFleur Franco interview still scheduled to happen, probably going to be May now. So excited for that. But yeah, that wraps up this episode of the Everything Podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Well, thank you for joining me as always, and we'll see you next time.